You are now tuned.
This is Omobola Stephen, the host of Lawiolit by Omobola Stephen. Now, Lawiolit by Omobola Stephen, we focus on topics, subjects that are centered on personal development and self-improvement because we've come to realize the importance of embracing personal development and self-improvement along the course of our lives. And when we do such, we tend to find ourselves along the path and also realizing there's so much innate capacities, capabilities, and possibilities that lies within us. And also the life is always willing to offer us when we open up ourselves to developing ourselves personally and also in our spiritual aspect. This is the focus and the mission of Lawali Omobola Stephen. We want to pivot the changes and transformation that you and I need in order for us to move from where we are to really where we need to be at the end of the day, having a fulfilling life, only in every area of our life. Today, I will be having an expert on the show. We'll be talking about focused retirement investing. I have Steve Selengut, who is a professional investment manager advisor. He's also a registered investment advisor and also an investment advisory representative. We also call him as the income independence coach. Welcome to the show, Steve.
Thanks very much. Yeah, I have done a lot of different things in my career. I've been doing this for almost 50 years. So my investing role has ranged from advisor to advisor representative to coach, which it is now. I sold my business May of 2023. So I've been transitioning into a coaching career, which is kind of nice, kind of different. I meet a lot of different people all over the world, and it's a lot of fun. So
Good to know. Thank you for that introduction, Steve. Now, you have directly managed other people's money. Really, how did it all happen?
um, how did it happen? How did I get there?
Well, I
Yeah,
want it back.
yeah. I started investing when I was about 25 years old. Actually, I was fortunate and I had that responsibility early on. So first thing I did when I had this portfolio of stocks thrust upon me, and I was told that it's mine now, and I shouldn't lose it. So I studied hard, and I looked at the stock market and the bond market and stuff like that, and just focused and learned about how the movements of securities up and down over time, and not only just the individual securities, but sectors of securities, like health, all the healthcare stocks will move together at the same time. All the oil stocks and so on will move around like that. So you got to know these types of things, and you knew if you stuck with good quality companies and didn't speculate, didn't guess, oh, I think that one's going to be the next big hitter, this one's going to go up. You'll hear something on the radio. They'll say, oh, this one's going to be $1 billion company in no time. You just don't pay attention to all that hype, and you focus on, hey, does this company make money? Is it in an industry that's going to be around for a while? Does it have many different things going for it? Is it just selling buggy whips, you know, before the automotive uh, a- type of experience came about? So you determine quality, and you diversify, and you study um, where you are in what's called the market cycle. I don't know how familiar are you with the stock markets throughout the world, but I'm sure you've noticed from the news how they're constantly going up and down, and people are pulling their hair out when it goes down and jumping up and down with joy when it's going up, but they don't really take any action to take advantage of either thing. When you boil it all down, it's just like any other area of your life where you find something on sale in a department store, you go and buy it. If they were to say to you, our products are all at the highest prices they've ever been in history, that wouldn't encourage you to go in there and buy it, would it? You know, but that's how they hype things up in the stock market. Market's going up, Mars going up. You got to go in there and buy now while prices are at their highest levels ever. Come on and buy more instead of saying, hey, this is the time you should be taking your profits and selling things, not buying them. So that's something that I started doing. That's what I determined I would do. I would be a buyer when the good products were going down in price, and I would be a seller when they're going up in price. And that's pretty much just what a good business does, doesn't it? They don't want to just accumulate inventory in the store, right? Oh, good. The value of my inventory is going up and up and up. That's not what they want. They want the cash flow from selling that inventory over and over and over, just like McDonald's and its hamburgers. It wants to sell as many as possible, as quickly as possible. And that's how I am with the investing that I do.
Oh, absolutely. Now, you have been investing when you were 25 years old. Absolutely. So what are some of, or let me ask this this way, what are the 5 biggest mistakes you think investors make?
Uh, okay. The number one mistake they make is their approach to the whole idea. It was like some of one or two of the things we just talked about. They don't realize that the market is always going to go down and it's always going to go back up again. It always has. But what they think is they get in there and they think it's going to go up and it's going to continue to go up. If they have a good stock, it's going to continue to be that way. But they felt that way about Sears Roebuck. They felt that way about many hundreds of stocks that have had big rises in price and have eventually gone down, not all the way down or to zero, but they've gone down because they couldn't continue to grow their income 80, 90, 100% per year. Their profits can't continue to grow at those large percentages, so they lose popularity and they become just normal. So a lot of people don't understand that market cycles up and down, and that what they need to do is take advantage of it, like we talked about. That's one mistake. A second one is identifying securities of high quality and lower risk. The higher the quality of the company, the higher the quality of the type of security, the lower the risk of financial loss. And I think the many people and of course employers who have retirement plans for their employees now have determined that funds of securities are safer risk-wise than individual selections. So types of funds, there are several of them, ETFs, mutual funds, and a thing called closed-end funds, which is what I use. And the closed-end funds are different because they focus on income production, and because of their nature as being trust vehicles, they pay out 95% of their earnings to the shareholders. Nobody else does that. Nobody else is as income focused. So that's what I look at. So we have quality, have income, diversification. Um, don't just own NVIDIA or Microsoft. Don't have all your money in one thing. Typically, a diversified portfolio will have significantly less than 5% of its value, of its capital in any one security. I don't in my portfolios altogether, I don't have one security that makes up more than 2% of my portfolio. So that's a key element um, because and you also by sector, you don't want more than 10 or 15% in the same sector because they tend to move together just like the market. Then so you have quality, income, quality diversification, income, market cycle, and the fifth one would be profit taking. most people don't take their profits. They say, oh, this is going up for other baby, and I am not going to sell it, even if it's not paying any dividends, even if it's not giving them any money. If you have $100,000 worth of XYZ stock and it's paying you a 1% dividend and it goes up 50%, it's still just paying that same dividend. That doesn't change. You feel better. Now, let's say instead you sell that and you now have $150,000 and you invest that in something or several things, as I would do, that are paying 8, 9, or 10%. Now you've got more than you had when you had 100 because you got, you know, $8,000 coming in a year instead of $2,000, right? So that's the type of thing that profit taking does. It allows you to build your capital and to spread it around. Just like in the old Monopoly game, where if you just had one house or one hotel, you weren't going to make it through the round, right? You'd have to keep growing your houses to other properties and other hotels. So this is similar to that approach. Then the final thing, and this is really a big mistake, is that most people, as soon as they open their portfolio statements or go online and look at their account, the only thing they look at is their market value. They don't look at how much income it generates. So it's a mindset thing. You got to start wrapping your mind around the idea, particularly if you're getting old, like I am, not like you are, but like I am. And you say, hey, I got to start paying for things. I'm not working anymore. Most people would be saying that. I'm not working anymore, so I have to have my investments have to be paying my bills. Well, if they're worth a lot of money, but not paying any income, then I have to sell something to pay my bills, right? I can't, I can't say, hey, um, I want to go on this vacation. It's costing me $10,000. I'm worth this amount of money, so I can go on your. The guy's like, oh no, 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 we don't do it on how much you're worth. We do it on cash. You give us money, then you can take the vacation. If you have a portfolio and you have even an advisor that works with you with it, you have to tell that person, I want you to make enough money to pay my bills and to let me go on vacation company and income, not just, I don't want you to just grow that market value. That doesn't do a thing for me. I can't spend it. I want you to produce income. And that's what you have to tell. So those are the 6 elements of investing.
Right. Right. Thank you, Steve, for sharing that well enough with my audience. Now, really, what is the goal of income independence?
Well, income independence is just a little bit different than financial independence. Financial independence is that guy with a lot of property or a big house and it's all worth a lot of money. But like I said before, it's not necessarily sending him a lot of income. So although he can afford to do anything, he will have to sell something to get it accomplished. That's financial independence. But income is an independence is when you have enough income being produced by your investments or your properties, um, or your book royalties and stuff like that, so that you don't have to ever sell anything to buy something else, to pay for what you want to do, to pay for your granddaughter's education. You don't have to sell things to do that. You're making enough income from your investments to do that. That's what income independence is all about. And you never lose sleep nights because you think the stock market might go down, because it just doesn't matter if you're in income producing securities. That's independence for you.
Right. I like us to move further towards that. Still talking about income, like I like you to address what we meant about income focused retirement investing. What are some of the principles?
Well, an income focus is just totally different from the market value focus that most investment companies, most investment advisors, most investors think about. they've been really literally brainwashed into thinking again that this market value thing is what they really need to chase instead of the income it will produce. And you know, it's very easy. They can tell you, well, if I produce income for you, you're going to have to pay taxes on it. Okay. Um, if your boss came up to you and said, I'm going to give you $100,000 bonus at the end of the year, you're not going to say, no, thank you. I don't want to pay the taxes, right? You're not going to say that. You're going to take it and you're going to pay the taxes. And you're going to be happy because you got a lot more than you had without the profits. Well, that's the same way it is in investing. And investment firms, the investment, what would you call them? The investment industry has made the determination. They have defined fiduciary responsibility, and they say we're working for you, and it's our fiduciary responsibility to do what's best for you, and what's best for you is a higher market value than you had last year or 2 years ago or 5 years ago. When in fact, what's best for you, in my opinion, is I we made you enough. We made you $12,000 last year. We made you $16,000 this year, and your income is $20,000 projected for next year. That's in your fiduciary response. That's fiduciary responsibility. You have more money to spend. Whether or not you have more market value is not nearly as important as how much money you have to spend, and that's why I think the focus, it's difficult to get a representative, a professional to focus for you on your income instead of market value.
Thank you once again, Steve, for sharing that incredible insight with my audience. Now, I still like us to talk about retirement. Really, I'd like us to talk about if there are any tested and safe method or methodology for producing spendable income that is far in excess of the percentage that is generally needed by retirees.
Yeah, I alluded to it earlier when I mentioned closed-end funds. Closed-end funds have been around since the early 1800s. You know, they're the oldest fund type investment you can make, older than mutual funds, more than 100 years older than ETFs. They've been around forever. And they're trust vehicles, and they have to pay out 95% of their income, like I said. But more importantly, they trade just like a stock in the stock exchange. Okay. They, you know, their price is separate and apart from the value of the assets they have inside. So they trade just like the stock market. And another feature that's very important in the bond market, most of the securities that are in fixed income that really focus on income, like bonds and loans and mortgages and real estate, are what we call illiquid investments. You can't just go out and instantly sell it. You have to go through a broker. You have to put it on the market, tell them it's available, and then you get an offer from somebody else to sell it. Closed-end funds give you the ability to trade them on the stock exchange. So if you own a closed-end fund that owns a lot of real estate in it, you theoretically can go out and sell your property like that just by pushing a button. Um, and at the same time, when you have those types of securities, they also pay a significant amount of money. And there are hundreds of them that I have vetted, and that the people in my Facebook groups have agreed are good investment quality and they feel comfortable with them. Literally hundreds of them, and they yield right now. The income focused ones are yielding around 10%, and the ones that are invested in the stock market are paying over 9%. You know, and there's also a tax-free group of closed-end funds, and they're paying over 6%, which is amazing. Really, it's very high for them. So, you know, that's the distinction, is that there are securities out there that are focused on income, and there's not just, and there are others other than closed-end funds. And like I said before, and I scratch my head all the time about it, Wall Street just avoids them. I'm going to tell you why they avoid them. But there are things called REITs, which pay high levels of income, and business development corporations, and several other types of even ETFs. I have a list of 20 ETFs that pay over 10% a year and have been for a long time. There are even some mutual funds that pay 7% or 6%. Not as much as closed-end funds, but still. The reason is very simple. The hype about the stock market is raising those prices. We want the Dow Jones and the S&P and the NASDAQ averages to constantly hit all-time highs, makes everybody feel rich, makes everybody feel happy, doesn't pay any income to them, but they're happy. But what does it do for the industry? The industry doesn't get paid on commissions anymore. They now get paid on a percentage of market value. So there you have it. The industry is focused on market value. They've convinced the supervisory elements, the regulators, that higher market value is what people need to keep ahead. And therefore, we're operating in their financial responsibility by not providing them any income. And there you have it. That's the reason. That's a secret. It's one of the secrets in my book, Retirement Money Secrets.
Absolutely, we're going to talk about that, but that's very deep, Steve. But talking about private investment, my audience would like to talk about any obstacle or major challenges that is faced in private investment.
Well, yeah. The obstacles are lack of education, not taking the time to study what you're doing before you jump in and you buy a stock or something, or you hire an investor, or you go out and buy a bunch of Bitcoin or something like that without really knowing what it is. The obstacles are really very personal. Unfortunately, the obstacles for most people is that they're living on what they're making, you know, and until they can get ahead, get themselves into a position where they can put money away, investing is really kind of impossible, other than through their employee benefit plans, which they should take advantage of. So the obstacles are, I would say, uh, education in the public school system. I mean, I know that when I went to school, nobody talked about investments. I mean, they didn't even tell you how to balance your checkbook. So when you got out of school, that was something you didn't know. And unless you were fortunate enough to be in a family that had some money put away, you wouldn't know what it was all about. So that's the biggest obstacle that I can see to people people investing effectively throughout the world. It's when they do, let's say somebody's a great athlete and they get a big bonus payment, and they don't have a responsible or an educated financial manager. I mean, that guy could go out and just blow their fortune when he could be making them a lot of income and setting them up. I mean, there are many professional athletes who wind up with nothing. And it's sad. But think about it even as a private individual who sets up a business and gets a business up and running, and then just doesn't get the right advice for what he's doing with the money he's making in this nice business he's developed. Instead of putting it away and getting it to generate as much income as he's making, whoever's advising him is just letting him grow market value. And then someday when he says, I want to sell my business, or my business goes bankrupt, or whatever happens, I don't have anything invested that's paying me income to take its place. When I was growing up, when I started investing, my goal was to get to a point where I could make more money investing than I was making from my employer, and then to start to do that for other people. So it took me about 9 years to get to the point where I could tell my employer, I'm out of here. I'm making 5 times as much as you're paying me. I don't see any big future here. I don't want to commute to New York anymore. You know, so I'm going to start my own business, and that's what I did. So yeah, there are obstacles, and some of them are endemic to society that doesn't provide an education to people so they can get ahead. And even when it does provide enough education for them to get ahead, it doesn't give them the financial education that they need to manage their money safely. And that's the biggest obstacle that I can see too.
Now, that's very worrisome too, Steve. But I'd like us to talk about your book, Retirement Money Secret. Let's get to know about that.
Well, the book lays out a lot of what we've just talked about. Those 6 basic principles, the quality, diversification, income, and profit taking in an area where you recognize that there's a market cycle affecting everything, and that's ups and downs need to be taken advantage of, and the mindset to start thinking in terms of income generation and capital building instead of just market value. Um, that's a big portion of the book. Then there's the operational side. The operational side introduces the closed-end funds to you and tells you how to select them, what to look for, what they're like, how they function, what the websites are that you can go to research them, and so on. And then we do a whole bunch of Q&A where I have a Facebook group meeting with my people in my Facebook group, and they ask questions and I answer them, and it's live, that type of thing. And it's on the in the book. It's not on,
You've got all the time.
so and then there are about a dozen or more illustrations and charts and graphs to show you what's going on over time with people who have adopted the program and have started using it and so on.
Thank you, Steve Selengut, for that brilliant discussion we had on investment. And now we can really get it right. I know that it's a very extensive subject, a topic. I hope some other time we can also delve more into the topic of discussion. Do you have any important information, perhaps any project in the pipeline you think that the audience will so much benefit from? It's time that you can do that now.
Okay, well, I've done a lot of podcasts like this that people can listen to get some information about this style or this approach to investing. But I think the book is for $20 for a paperback, it's a pretty good investment itself. And I would recommend that people read it, and they can talk to me too, because I have a business of coaching, and all the contact information is in the book as well. But if any, if your listeners, have been investing, and there are certainly many experienced investors that are here listening to us today, I would just suggest to them that they go to their investment advisor or to look at, or themselves, if they are their own investment manager, and look at the amount of income they're producing. And for most people, that number is going to be as low as 3% or less in actual spending money. And once they read the book and they see that they can make that 3% into 9 or 10% of spending money, they'll have learned something. They'll have been given some information that could change their lives. And that's what the book's all about.
All right. So can you share that website where they can reach you and also get the book and also your social media handles?
Yeah, the book of course is from Amazon and Barnes and Noble and draft to digital, anywhere you buy books. There's also an audiobook if you want to read it while you're driving to work. And that's also available exclusively at Amazon. And my website is theincomecoach.net. And they can get to me through that book.
Yes, we wish you best of luck and Steve Selengut in your projects and also in subsequent ones. My audience really appreciate your time and your valuable contribution to the topic of discussion. Once again, thank you, Steve Selengut. You're a professional investment manager, advisor, a registered investment advisor, and also an investment advisory representative. Thank you once again.
Okay, well, thank you for having me on your program. I appreciate it.
Appreciate your time once again, Steve. Now, it's been lovely by Omobola Stephen, and if you want to or you like to catch up any missed episodes of the show, absolutely you can do that on any podcast distribution platforms or any podcast cross-promotion platforms, so Facebook, community, whatever, any social media handles you bump into, just search for Live by Omobola Stephen, and there you go. I guarantee you're going to have an incredible time listening to expert professionals share profound insights on topics and subjects under personal development and self-improvement that are destructive yet constructive in nature. Thank you once again for joining me on the show. I talk to you soon. Thank you once again, Steve. That was a great show.
Bye.
Yeah.
We hope you've enjoyed this episode.